ورحمة الله وبركاته. ازيكم عاملين ايه اخباركم؟ هنتكلم بسرعة كده briefly على ال characters in Oliver Twist from chapter 1 to chapter 10. اتكلمنا على ميسيس مان وقلنا ان ميسيس مان was an old woman. وقلنا ان هي she was dishonest and she was cruel and a hypocrite person. وهندي example طبعا على كل حاجة احنا بنتكلم عليها، يعني ما ينفعش انا اقول ان هي she was dishonest واسكت. I have to support my answer. For example, if I said she was dishonest يبقى اقول she was given few pennies to look after the children but she took most of the money for herself. واجيب incidents مثلا لما كان مجوعاهم when they were very hungry in her house. How she was cruel when Oliver and the two other boys told her that they were hungry and she beat them and put them in dark room. She was not kind. She's supposed to be a mother for those orphans, but she was not kind to them. She was hypocrite. Examples for hypocrisy. She said that all her children were dear, although she gave them little food and beat them. She flattered Mr. Pumple. She gave Oliver a lot of kisses in front of Mr. Pumple, though she doesn't like him, and even Oliver was very afraid from her. She also gave him bread and butter so that he wouldn't appear hungry in the workhouse, though he was feed nothing at her house. طيب Mr. Pumple, as we said before that Mr. Pumple was a very cruel person. طيب ايه السبورت بتاعي ان هو he beat Oliver and shut him in dark room for a whole week just because he asked for more soup. He took Oliver to wash the yard every morning in the very cold weather and beat him with a stick. He took Oliver into the hall where the boys had their soup and beat him in front of everybody. He was so mean and he was so cruel. He told Mrs. Sowerberry not to give Oliver meat and to feed him just on thin soup, as giving him meat made him so wild. He was treating the boys or the children as being animals. Opportunist, every chapter we will find that he was all the time trying to find opportunity to gain money. When he went to Mr. Brownlow to take the £5 for anyone, when he asked for anyone, when he made it as a reward for anyone who might help to find Oliver. He was a liar, a greedy person. When he lied on when he lied on Mr. Brownlow, he lied about Oliver when he said that he was born of bad parents, when he had been evil and unpleasant from his birth, when he attacked Noah Claypole and ran away from Mr. Sowerberry house. كل دي evidence on the bad characteristics of Mr. Pumple. He said all these lies just to take the £5, not caring about the poor child who is Oliver. طيب Mr. Sowerberry, احنا قلنا قبل كده ان his name was significant and he was an undertaker who had some business to do with the workhouse. He took Oliver to help him during the funerals. He didn't have strong personality with his wife and he was weaker than his wife. He treated Oliver kindly at the beginning, but he beat him later to please Mrs. Sowerberry, who cried just because Oliver said his mother was not a bad woman. Mrs. Sowerberry طبعا, and we said before the significance of her name, that she was Puri, which is supposed to be sweet, but in reality she was sour. She hated Oliver the moment she saw him just because he was from a workhouse. She was mean. She was not kind at all to Oliver. She treated him as a bundle of bones and as a hungry dog. She was angry as Oliver was small and he will need to grow on their food and drink. She considered giving Oliver the dog's meat generosity and thought that she was was the reason that turned him wild with Noah Claypole. طيب, how do we know that or how to prove her cruelty? She pushed Oliver downstairs the kitchen. She gave him dog's food. She told him that he was a bag of bones as he was thin and small. She let him sleep in the shop among coffins. She beat him and scratched his face until she was tired, and she shut him in dark room. This was for Mrs. Sowerberry. About Noah Claypole, another symbol of cruelty in the society. He was very cruel to Oliver. He made his life unpleasant. He hurt his ears. He used to pull Oliver's hair heart. He was trying to make Oliver cry. He was psychologically abnormal, of course, as he was always lewd to Oliver and very pleased to see the tears in Oliver's eyes. He was a coward as he didn't fight Oliver when he attacked him, but just cried for help when he had the chance to hit Oliver. He hit Oliver from the behind, from his back. Not what he was not able to face Oliver. He was a liar. طيب, this for the cruel part in the society or the cruel character in society, but we still have good and kind people in the society. For example, Mr. Brownlow. Mr. Brownlow, he was a good natured person. Um, he sympathized with Oliver when he saw that he was innocent. He shouted sadly for the poor boy. When he saw that Oliver was hurt, though he thought he was the thief, he stole his thief. He took him in courage to his house. When he fell to the ground, he helped him. He gave him shelter and food and new clothes. Like Mr. Grimwig, he was Mr. Brownlow's friend. He was a suspicious person, complete opposite and extreme opposite of Mr. Brownlow's nature and personality. He thought that Mr. Brownlow had a very kind nature and anybody might well deceive him. طيب, أنا عندي question. For example, if he brings for you a code, without this, Oliver's life would have ended in the same way as his mother. What does this in the above statement refer to? What happened to Oliver's mother? What does the journey to London suggest about Oliver's character? Why did Oliver choose London as a destination for his journey? When he stopped to say goodbye to Dick, Oliver was touched by what? Remember, Dick shows the good nature of Oliver too. Can you see this question? Without this, what this refer to? You have to remember very quietly every incident in the story. Okay, if we ask ourselves what happened to Oliver's mother, of course, we know all that she died in the workhouse after giving birth to Oliver. And what does Journey to London suggest about Oliver's characters? It suggests his perseverance and his empower. And why did Oliver choose London as a destination for his journey? Why do you think that Oliver chose London as a destination for his journey? He chose it for being a large place where no one would be able to know him or know his past about the workhouse. He was searching for a place where he could find justice. When he stopped to say goodbye, and of course, he was trying to find his identity. And when he stopped to say goodbye to Dick, Oliver was so touched by what? He was so touched by the nice words and the nice prayer that Dick has prayed for him when he told him, God bless you. And this reflects the importance of God's protection to Oliver the whole journey. Oliver spent his first years of childhood under the care of Mrs. Mann, yet he was not affected by her evil nature. Explain supporting your answer with examples from the story. طيب الكويستشن ده عايز مني ايه؟ الكويستشن ده عايز مني to prove that though Oliver has spent long time of his childhood with this cruel person, he could have easily been affected by her bad nature. But in reality, the opposite has happened. He kept innocent, he kept kind, he kept loving to all the people around him. Of course, how are we going to support it? Give examples about innocence of Oliver. One of them, this his loyalty to his friend Dick when he was going to leave the place, going heading to London. هوقف معاكم دلوقتي وأكمل معاكم في فيديو تاني more about the characters and some important questions. Good luck.